If you're building a fast-growing company, you're juggling a million things, right? But there's this one little payroll tax that's a total landmine for remote teams, and it tends to fly under the radar until it becomes a real headache. I'm talking about state disability insurance tax, or SDI. It's one of those critical details that can cause major compliance issues, especially when you start hiring everywhere.
So let me just ask you straight up. Are you hiring in any of these states? Because if you are, you're on the hook for this. And here's the part that catches pretty much every founder off guard. It has absolutely nothing to do with where your company is headquartered.
And this, right here, is the compliance trap. Your tax obligations are tied to where your employee lives and works. So for a distributed team, that means every time you hire someone in one of these states, you could be triggering a whole new set of rules you have to follow, and you might not even know it.
All right, so let's back up for a second. What exactly is this tax we're talking about? Basically, state disability insurance is a program that gives an employees some of their wages back if they can't work because of an illness or injury that is not job-related. Oh, and a quick heads up on the name. Only California really calls it SDI. Everywhere else, you'll probably hear it called Temporary Disability Insurance, or TDI.
Now, this is where a lot of people get tripped up. This is not workers' comp. Not even close. Workers' comp is for when someone gets hurt on the job and the employer pays for it. SDI is for when life happens outside of work, and it's usually the employee who funds it. They're two totally separate systems.
So what kind of stuff does it cover? Well, think about short-term recovery from things like surgery, a major illness, an accident, or even pregnancy and childbirth. It's really just a safety net for when life gets in the way of work. Okay, buckle up, because this is where things get a little wild. Only 5 states, plus Puerto Rico, even have this requirement, but every single one of them has created its own unique and frankly kind of maddening set of rules. It really is a maze.
First up, California. Here, the tax is a straight 1.1% of an employee's income. It's paid only by the employee, and get this, because it's a huge recent change, as of 2024, there's no wage cap anymore. That means it applies to every single dollar an employee earns. Okay, now let's hop over to Rhode Island. At first glance, it looks pretty similar. It's also paid only by the employee. But wait, the rate is 1.2%, and it's only on the first $87,000 of wages. See what I mean? One state over, and the rules are already completely different. And now for a total curveball, New Jersey. This is the only place where the tax is employer only. New companies start at a rate of 0.5% on a wage base of about 42 grand, but that rate can actually go up or down over time based on your company's claim history. New York, of course, has its own unique little quirk. The employer covers almost everything, but they can choose to deduct a tiny amount from their employees. We're talking 0.5% of wages, capped at a maximum of just 60 cents a week. And finally, you've got Hawaii and Puerto Rico. They both use a split model, where the employer and the employee each chip in a little bit. But again, the exact percentages and the wage caps are different for each of them. And here it is. This is the whole mess in one picture. Just look at this thing. Who contributes? What's the rate? What's the wage base? Are the benefits taxable? Every single column has a different answer. Now, can you imagine trying to track this manually in a spreadsheet? No way, it's a recipe for disaster. So when you see all that complexity, the temptation is to try and manage it by building what I call a bigger cockpit. More checklists, more spreadsheets, more manual work. But that is absolutely the wrong approach. The real solution is to switch to Autopilot. So what's the difference? A bigger cockpit is you trying to do more manual work with more tools. It's what you get with old-school legacy payroll platforms. Autopilot is true automation. It's a set-it-and-forget-it system that's purpose-built to handle all of this for you, so you don't even have to think about it. And a perfect example of that Autopilot approach is a platform called Warp. It's a modern payroll system that was designed from the ground up to solve these exact kinds of multi-state compliance headaches that ambitious, fast-growing companies face today. So here's how that Autopilot actually works. You hire someone new in California. Boom. Warp automatically sees this and registers your company for all the right state taxes, like SDI. From that moment on, it just works, automating every deduction, every contribution, and every filing without you ever lifting a finger. And this is a huge deal compared to the legacy providers. A lot of competitors will treat state registration as some manual add-on service and charge you hundreds of dollars for every single form they file. With Warp, it's just all included. It's part of the Autopilot system. And the pricing is designed to be just as simple.
It's just $20 per employee per month. That's it. No hidden fees for compliance, no surprise charges for getting set up in a new state.
The whole point is to save you time and mental energy. You can get fully set up and running on the platform in less than 15 minutes. And if you have a question, there's US-based support with a median response time of 5 minutes. It's built to be fast because your company is moving fast.
So let's pull all of this together. After seeing the complexity and the potential solutions, what's the real takeaway here? What really matters? Here's the most important thing to get. State disability insurance is just one tiny, complicated piece of a much larger puzzle. The real problem is multi-state compliance itself. As a founder, you don't need another tool or another checklist to manage. You need a genuine solution that makes the entire problem just go away. So this is the thought I really want to leave you with. The goal shouldn't be to get better at managing the complexity of payroll compliance. The real goal is to find a system so seamless, so automated, that you never have to think about it again.